closely with your supervisors and also enjoy your PhD life.
To look at the recently published research, and see whether the topics are something that they are interested in. So from the time that you join the program, the next 15 years, you will be working primarily on research. So it's very, very important that you know what you are getting yourself into.
The things that you study should really be your hobby as well. If you are in a management program, but you really want to read about comic books all the time, maybe you should be in a literature program. If you want to know about these subjects that you're studying, and that's what you study in your free time, then that's the right thing for you to study.
To choose a topic that they're really interested in, and when they're working on this topic, never to give up, because it's a very, very long journey, and sometimes you will have some failures or some difficulties, but you should just be persistent, and when you feel like you're a persistent person, then you can do it.
Developing a habit of reading scientific articles from the very beginning. Make it to be like reading magazines.
PhD program is not only about accumulating knowledge, but also about producing knowledge. So ask yourself whether you have a question to ask, rather than you are ready to take good exam and get a high exam score.
You really need to make sure this is what you want. You can check the profiles of some professors and then our students and their papers, right? So you can read their papers, you try to understand figure out what they are doing in their research, and to check, to ask yourself, is this something like I want to do in the future?
UST has a world-leading program, and I find that more and more when I study here. When I compare the kinds of training that I get and the people that I work with, they're comparable to anywhere in the world, and I'm really proud to be getting the best education that I could get anywhere.
The environment is very friendly. It's very collaborative.
We're open-minded, and at least my door is always open. So any students want to talk to me, they can come and talk to me.
We have, seminars, workshops, which give them opportunities to present their research, to talk about their research ideas with us. We as faculties, we are trying our best to support our PhD students.
Also, the students tend to have a very good relationship with the professors. We all have open door policy. Most of the students would come to meet us whenever they run into problems. It's a very supportive environment.
This program is very rigorously designed. We have faculty from top research programs in the world. And the faculty not only highly intelligent, but also are very caring. Another aspect is we have a very vibrant and a lively PhD community. We have a highly internationalized PhD students from all over the world.
There's a lot of autonomy. You're encouraged to pursue your own interests and to drive your own projects. But there's also quite a lot of guidance and support. And you also get to learn a lot from the faculty, and the faculty in HKUST are some of the top people in the field. So it's quite a learning experience as well. You get to learn from the best.
Discussion and communication with faculties not only clarify my confusion, but also bring up the new question that's around the boundary of the literature. Some of them are not answered yet, so it is really helpful for me to understand the literature and come up with the new ideas.
I got full support from the school. So as a PhD student, I have my own office and printing facilities. I have my studentship, and faculty members are very helpful when I need them. They are willing to answer my questions. This is the perfect environment for me to focus on my research.
The business school here has very good research resources. The professors, they are all doing research very well, and they are the top scholars in the world. So the students here can obtain very good research training and build their networks in the research field.
This is a culture with a lot of diversity, very dynamic, as well as full of intellectual challenges.
My second year paper presentation, I got my stupid proposal rejected like multiple times, getting hard time implementing some specific econometric techniques. But at the end, I'm kind of very happy to have a solid paper, and I'm glad that my supervisor and other faculty members liked that.
I particularly enjoy my time studying with my classmates. So we have a study group. The learning experience is optimized by each of us exchanging our ideas and opinions. So I really love this experience because this is a wonderful learning experience to me.
I remember every summer we had some research seminars which were offered by the famous scholars around the world. I think that was a super good opportunity for us to learn from them and build a research collaboration with those senior scholars.
A few years into the program, I went back to present at a practitioner conference with a lot of the people that I used to work with when I was in industry, and they were really interested in what I'm studying. And there was a great feeling to know that I'm not just studying theory that no one knows about or cares about, but I'm really studying things that make a difference and make an impact in the world.
Studying a PhD at HKUST is very, very hard work, but at the same time also very rewarding.
Study here will be challenging, but will be very rewarding.
To talk to our faculty members, read their research articles from which they will know that there are lots of very, very interesting opportunities.
Pursuing a PhD program is probably a lifetime challenge to you, but it is definitely worthwhile.
If you like research, it's a very challenging but rewarding route.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the HKUST Business School PhD Information webinar. I'm your host for the evening, Mikhail. A bit about myself. I did my undergraduate studies at Monash University in Australia, and I'm currently pursuing a PhD in finance. It's great to see so many of you who are interested in research attending today's session. A quick note that today's session will be recorded, and we'll probably be providing a link to you at the conclusion of the session. Joining me today are the faculty members from various departments, and as you can see, the agenda for today is going to be a program overview by the Director of PhD and MPhil programs, followed by the PhD program coordinators from different departments giving an introduction into the program. At the end, we will have a Q&A session. You do not have to wait till the end to send in your questions. Feel free to type them into the Q&A tab or shout on anytime. If your question is related to a specific department or professor, please indicate that in your questions. And we'll be replying to the questions either by typing in the responses in the Q&A tab itself, or we'll address it later in the dedicated Q&A session. So let me introduce to you the speakers and panelists for today. We have Professor Ralph van der Lans, who's the Director of PhD and MPhil programs, Professor Alan Huang from Department of Accounting, Professor Park Hung Ao from the Department of Economics, Professor Abhirup Mukherjee from the Department of Finance, Professor Jing Wang from Information Systems, Department of ISOM, Professor Man Yu, Department of ISOM Operations Management, Professor Xinghua Zheng, Department of ISOM Business Statistics, Professor Amy Dalton from the Department of Marketing, and Professor Yanfeng Zheng, Department of Management. So with that, let's get started. So we'll start with Professor Ralph van der Lans giving us a program introduction.
Thanks, Mikhail. Thanks everyone for joining this webinar. In this about maybe the next 10 minutes or so, I will give a brief overview of the PhD program. And during this overview, will try to answer the following 3 questions. First, why would you do a PhD in business? Second, why HKUST Business School? And third, how to apply. So about the first question, why a business PhD? I could come up with 3 answers. The first one is, well, research is fun. I think you just saw that also in the video. You have intellectual stimulation. And if you find something new, or if you produce some new knowledge, there is a joy of discovery. Second, there is a lot of freedom. So you can choose your own topics that you work on and that you do research on. You can choose the papers that you want to read. You can choose the courses that you want to study. So there is a lot of freedom during your PhD. Also, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of time. If you are a morning person, you can start early. If you are a night person, you can also work at night. If you want to work in the weekends, you can work during the weekends. So you can plan your own times when you want to do research. And third, it's very rewarding. You can discuss your research ideas with the brightest minds around the world. And also, after you obtain your PhD, there are a lot of opportunities to get jobs. So to give you some idea of what kind of jobs our PhD students obtained in the past few years, most of them, they became assistant professor at a university, but also some of them went to industry or obtained jobs at research institutes or governmental organizations. So a lot of opportunities, but most of us stay in academia. So let me move to the second question. Why study at HKUST Business School? Well, to that question, I think there are many reasons. Okay, so I will give you an overview of 7 reasons that I think you should, or that HKUST is a very good choice. First, I think, as you all know, HKUST ranks very well in the world among other universities. So, for instance, if you look at our regular programs such as MBA and EMBA, they are always ranked very highly in Financial Times, for instance. But if you are focused more on the PhD program, you're probably more interested in research, and HKUST does excellent as well. So if we just look at the top publications, HKUST ranks #1 in Asia, and also by a research assessment exercise, which is an exercise done by the Hong Kong government to rank universities, HKUST was the university in Hong Kong with the highest percentage of top publications. Second, as I think you also noticed from the video, our faculty is very, very international. So we have over 150 faculties with 25 different nationalities, and they obtain PhDs from all kinds of prestigious universities in the US or Canada, but also in Europe and other parts of the world. Third, I think our PhD students also very diverse. They are from all different regions and countries, but they're also from different backgrounds. So you will not only meet other students with backgrounds, for instance, in business or in economics, but also in computer science, engineering, math, or psychology. Okay, so there's a lot of variety, and there's a lot of different people with different backgrounds that you can talk to. A fourth reason is that our PhD program is rigorous and very well designed to prepare you for an excellent PhD, but also to prepare you to get a very good job afterwards. So during the first 2 years, you will get a lot of coursework, which is equivalent to an MPhil program, and some of you might also get this MPhil degree. You also have a lot of opportunities to discuss your research ideas with different professors, and you can attend seminars at the university. The next 2 years, most of you will start working on their PhD thesis and read a lot of research papers related to your specific topic. And you also have an opportunity to attend conferences in all kinds of places to present your research and to get feedback from professors from other universities. And in your final year, your goal is to finalize your thesis and to prepare for the defense. And you will also start hunting for a job. And most PhD students, as you saw earlier, stay in academia and they look for jobs at other universities all over the world. Another reason to choose HKUST is that we have a lot of financial support. So all students that are admitted, they will receive a full financial support, for instance, from postgraduate studentships or the Hong Kong PhD Fellow Awards that I'm going to discuss with you later. But on top of that, there are also other financial supports that you can obtain. For instance, the Dean's PhD Fellowship or the Dean's Postgraduate Scholarship. The sixth reason is that if you want to stay in academia and if you want to become a professor, our PhD students in the past have obtained excellent jobs all over the world, in Europe, North America, Australia, also mainland China, Hong Kong and Macau and Singapore. And here on this slide, you see a few examples of the universities that have hired our PhD students, and we are very proud of them. The final reason to choose HKUST is, I believe, is that we have a beautiful campus. So we are close to the sea, that we have excellent facilities. So next to doing research, there's also opportunities to relax and to basically spend some time doing sports or meet other people in restaurants. The final question is how to apply. So as you noticed, we hire PhD students from all different backgrounds. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a business student or economics student. You can also be a student from engineering with a background in science or social science. Okay, so we basically are interested in smart people. It's not necessary to have a master's degree either. So you could also apply if you only have a bachelor's degree. So if you want to apply, you need to prepare the following materials. First of all, you need to have a statement of purpose. Why do you want to do a PhD at HKUST? And why do you want to do a PhD in business? And what is your goal of doing this research? You should also have some academic references. Obviously, you need to have a GMAT score or a GRE score. And finally, there will also be some English language requirements depending on where you're from. So how can you apply? So there are two types of admission schemes. The first one is the HKPFS, or the Hong Kong PhD Fellowship Scheme. That scheme is established by the Hong Kong Research Grant Council. And if you get admitted to that program, you get a monthly financial stimulation of 27,100. So that will be a higher basically salary that you get. Another thing you can do is just to apply to the regular PhD admission scheme. And I will, on the next slide, I will give you the details of that of the deadlines. So these are the deadlines for these admissions. So if you apply to the HKPFS, the deadline to submit your application is December 1 at 12 noon, okay, Hong Kong time. If you want to find more details, there is here's a link to the website from the Hong Kong Research Grants, and they basically give more details on how to apply to this fellowship scheme. If you apply to the regular submissions, then these are the deadlines for the different departments. Okay, so depending on what you're interested in, you have different deadlines that start early next year, except for economics. That deadline is already December 1st. It's the same as the HKPFS. Note that if you apply for the HKPFS, you still also have to apply directly to HKUST. Well, this was basically a brief overview of the PhD program at HKUST. Next, you will also get some information from each of the different programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ralph. So now we will be having the introductions from the different departments, and we'll start with the Department of Accounting, Professor Alan Huang. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me? Yes, works. All right. I realized that I'm going to give you guys a brief introduction of the PhD in Accounting program. I was the PhD director a couple of years ago, and now I'm stepping in for the current director, Professor Shiheng Wang, who is attending a conference in Barcelona right now. Most of the things that I'm going to talk about over here have already been covered by Ralph's slides, and I will just dive into the research focus of our program here. So, and again, most of the information that I'm going to be listing on this slide over here, if you go to our website, you can find a lot more detailed information. If you look at the videos, we have already suggested that look at the papers that our faculties are publishing, and you can get a much better idea, much updated idea of the research focus of our faculty right now. So within the traditional accounting program, we have financial accounting and capital markets interest. We have research on international accounting, financial intermediaries. And in the recent period, we'd also have papers on big data and machine learning, etc., and some ESG related research. And I would also like to echo Ralph's point about that we don't care as much about which program you're graduating from. You could be graduating from undergrad in business, undergrad in science, engineering. Personally, I got my undergrad degree from electronics, and now I'm teaching accounting here. In terms of the program structure, everyone is fully funded for scholarship during the program here for the first 4 or 5 years. The first 2 years, you'll be taking courses in accounting, finance, and economics primarily. And then after that, you're going to take your qualified exam at the end of year 2. Your year 2 paper would be evaluated to grant you an MPhil degree. Starting after year 2, you're done with coursework and you'll be working primarily on research. And the priority of our students would be to work on your PhD thesis, usually under the guidance of the faculty and sometimes under other faculty, faculty advisor, and sometimes under other faculty as well. For some of our students, they may choose to go for an overseas exchange. So some of our past graduates have done exchange in University of Michigan, Columbia, or Georgetown University, etc. We expect most of our students to graduate within 5 years. That means you're going to spend the majority part of your 5th year to go on the job market. The accounting job market starts in November and usually ends around April. Now, in terms of job placement, here is a list of the universities that have hired our recent graduates. And again, you can find similar information on our website. In the interest of time, I'm just going to go through 3 that graduated in each one of the last 3 years. So Guoman is working in University of Hong Kong right now. He graduated in 2020. Ling is graduated in 2021. Her first placement was Bocconi University, and she just joined Hong Kong U this year. And Hui was my student, and he graduated in July this year. And she actually just joined Renmin University in the past year, in the past month. And all of our students that we listed over here have gotten either publication or close to publication by the time they graduate. I do want to address one point over here about the PhD selection criteria. Now, we look at a bunch of a variety of criteria when we judge whether a student is suitable or not. I see some of the questions over here also touch that. Now, we don't look at one specific criteria and use that as the only criteria, but we look at an entire portfolio of the person. Academic excellence is definitely one, your grades, your tests. We look at the research potential. So if a student have done research in the past, that will be really helpful. We look at recommendation letters of, especially for people that we have heard about, people that we know of. We look at communication skills, whether you can present your ideas. We interview all the candidates. We'll also look at the maturities, whether a student have done some extracurricular activity or have some working experience in the industry. And lastly, we also look for someone who have the grit, because to be honest, research is hard. I don't know whether you noticed in the video that we were shooting, since the time you join a PhD program, you'll be spending the next 15 years doing research. You better know what you're doing. So, and even if you do, it's a hard job. It's not an easy job. So I hope that this would answer some of your questions. If you have additional questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Allen. Next, we will have Professor Park Hung from the Department of Economics. Professor, you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good evening. Thanks for attending the information session today. So I'm here to tell you more about the Econ MPhil and PhD program at HKUST. Okay. So why doing specifically an economic PhD? I have listed a few reasons here. First of all, economics offers an extremely broad range of research topics, and we are going to say a little bit more on this later. And then also, in general, there's a relatively strong demand for economic PhD from academia, from industry, government departments, and also international organizations such as IMF and World Bank, Asian Development Bank, etc. And all these things thanks to the rigorous methodology that economists use in analyzing social problems, and also the solid training and in analytical and quantitative skills offered by typical high-class, high-quality economic PhD program. Okay? So why doing economic PhD rather than pure science? Well, if you're interested in humanity-related research, if you're interested in analyzing human behavior, economics obviously is the better options. And also studying economics also allow your research to have potential policy impact that can make the world a better place. Relative to other social science, economics has an advantage of offering a wider career prospect, and importantly for the ambitious young minds, economics provide you with the chance of getting a Nobel Prize. Okay, so earlier I've mentioned that economics covers an extremely broad range of research topics, and I've listed just a small subset of the economic fields. Okay. On this slide. So the standard fields are like microeconomics, macroeconomics, econometrics, but then actually it also includes a lot of different things. To name a few, such as public economics, health, education, labor, law and economics, industrial organizations, and the list go on and on. So what are economists interested in? We are no longer interested in only like problems such as unemployment, interest rate, GDP, etc. These days, economists are interested in a very, very broad set of topics, such as, so this is a list of papers that appears in top economics journals recently. So we have looked at the effect of abortions on crime. We have looked at how diplomatic parking tickets can allow us to influence the social norm of different countries across the world. We have studied speed dating, online websites. We have studied addictions in using a rational decision-making framework. And then we have also looked at the soccer players' behavior, and some economists even go so far as to apply the economic tools to analyze monkeys' behavior. So economists studies very broad range of topics these days. So if you're interested, if you have, it offers you flexibility to explore the world in many different dimensions. So now we're doing economic PhD at HKUST in particular. First of all, we are the best, highest ranked departments in Hong Kong, according to both the QS ranking and the US News. We have world-class faculty in all major fields of economics, especially that spans both the theoretical and empirical research. And in particular, among universities in Hong Kong, we are particularly strong in areas such as empirical I/O and also behavioral and experimental economics. One major advantage of the hardware that we have is we have a very well-equipped laboratory for economic experiments, which is kind of unique in Hong Kong. So the program structure is similar to what Ralph has just introduced. So in the first year, it's mostly about taking the core courses, and our courses include a sequence of microeconomics, a sequence of macroeconomics, and then a sequence that covers econometrics. And finally, we also have a course that covers the basic mathematical tools for economists. And then in year 2, you are supposed to take elective field courses and prepare your MPhil thesis. Starting from year 3 onwards, it's mostly about preparing your PhD dissertations and looking for jobs. So regarding the field courses, we have a very extensive range of course offering, such as decision theory, both theoretical and empirical I/O, and also macro that covers international macro quantitative methods, and also different applied microeconometric courses, such as labor, international trade, and so on and so forth. Other than the regular studentship, the department also provide extra financial support for attending summer schools, training programs, and courses. during the third and the fourth year, if you go on conference presentation, you also get additional support from the department. We also provide, we also try to fund exchange and visiting opportunities. And finally, for attending the job interviews at the AEA meeting. So some recent graduate placement includes, as you see, both the academia, such as Hong Kong Baptist, CHK, and also some top places in China, such as Fudan, Renmin, and also some of our graduates get jobs in HKMA, and some of them go into the industry, such as Citibank and Citibank Bank. So here's some of the outstanding alumni that we have. For instance, Zhou Yahong is now the Dean of the School of Economics at Shanghai University of Finance and Economics. Song Fa is the Dean's Chair at the NUS and is also Associate Editor of Management Science. Fan Haiqiao is now the Professor at Fudan and Associate Editors of important major economic journal. So we also have alumni who is now full professor at the Sun Yat-sen University. Xu Ziwei is now associate professor at the Peking University and associate editor of major journal. King is my co-author and friend, and he's now working in Shenzhen and also an associate editor of Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization, a very major journal in behavioral economics. Okay, so regarding the admission timeline, so the deadline for the econ application is December 1st. Different from other programs, we make the research proposal optional. The idea is that maybe if you are from a science or engineering background, which lacks previous research experience, we still welcome your application. In mid-December, we will start to conduct online interviews and written tests, and starting from January onwards, we are going to give out offers in 1 or 2 rounds, depending on how things go. The target is to admit 4 to 6 students a year. Okay, okay, so that's my presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the Q&A session.
Thank you, Professor Park Hong. So before we continue, just a reminder, if you have any questions specific to a department, please make sure you mention that department or reference that department in the question in the Q&A tab. And with that, we now have Professor Abhirup Mukherjee from the Department of Finance.
Thank you very much. Please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. This is a brief introduction to our finance PhD program. The first slide shows you a snapshot of people who have graduated from our program before. And one thing that should strike you from this slide is the diversity of backgrounds in terms of just nationality that we have had in our program. So in this slide, you see Indians, Koreans, and lots of Chinese people as have passed through our program. So if we start at the end of the PhD program, which is what do people do after they graduate from here, they go to a wide variety of very, very good internationally recognized schools. And I would confidently venture in saying that this is the best placement record of any program in Asia, if not outside the US. If I count out places like the London School of Economics and London Business School, and maybe INSEAD, then probably we have the best placement record outside of any school in the US. So just to highlight, this year's placements were in Copenhagen Business School and Singapore Management University. Both the students had very interesting job market papers that got them through there. Previous year was at London Business School and so on. So how do you do that? How do you go to these places that you might also want to go to? Well, you publish papers, you write very interesting research papers that then get published in the topmost journals in our field. So here I'm just quoting student research from the last 5 years. So I had to change the slides. I had a bunch of stuff from before, but I had to change the slides to update it. And as you can see, this is research that is both wide. It covers topics from insider trading to satellite data, to global leniency programs and mergers and acquisitions, to taxes and loans and what you will hear. Now, it's not just working as a research assistant for professors. So this is one big differentiator. You see, if you want to get a job in a really good department, the department is not going to hire you because you published a paper working as a research assistant for somebody that you just blindly followed that person and ran the regressions that he asked you to. The institute, good institutes will hire you because they expect you to keep publishing in top journals. And to demonstrate that ability, we need to give you the space to exhibit your own independence and take ownership of your research process and see it through journals. And that is exactly what we will aim to do in our PhD program here. Not just in terms of publications, but also in terms of societal impact. Some of our student research has been featured, and this is, I'm not talking about research done by faculty, I'm talking about research done by a PhD student. So if you're a student here, you can come in and do research in the next 5 years, which will get covered in the Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, or by the CFA Institute, and become a part of things that students need to study for the CFA. So, you know, this research for students, again, last 5 years only, has been awarded by European Central Banks, CFA Institute, TD Ameritrade, which is a financial institution, you know, the Asian Finance Association, London Business School, and so on and so forth. Now, here's the most important part, which most of the questions seem to be about, which is how do we get into the program? And it is not, you know, it's quite necessary to stress who we want before we answer the question of how do you get in. We want people who can think independently, who will bring their own new creative ideas into the field. It is not enough to extend existing research. It's not enough to find someone that's been done in the US and say, oh, let me see how this exact same thing looks like in India or in China. We have world-leading research faculty across a wide variety of fields who will collaborate and help you nurture your ideas. But these ideas, we expect, are ambitious. They ask important questions that society cares about. It's not just publishing in journals, it is asking questions that people today care about, that society, governments, policymakers care about. Be creative, ask interesting questions, answer in new ways. And most importantly, we are looking for people who enjoy research, who are not here to do research just to get a job as an assistant professor or to survive in your job, keep your head above water and get tenure. Well, we want people who enjoy research, who do research because of the joys that it brings in terms of the discovery process of a new idea, a new way of helping a government or a bank or a hedge fund in industry, if you will. So I'm going to keep this short and try and end here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor Abu. Next up, we have Professor Jing Wang from the Department of ISOM, Information Systems.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So this is Jing Wang, and I'm the and today I will share you some brief information. Hello.
Hi, I don't think we can see the screen. Maybe you want to share the screen again.
Sorry, I was out just now. Let me reshare. Okay, good evening, everyone. So this is Jing Wang, and I'm the coordinator of the Information Systems PhD program. So tonight I will give you some information about our PhD program. So the IS group is belongs to the ISOM department of School of Business and Management at HKUST. So we have 16 tenure track faculty members. Our group is ranked number 8 in the world based on the publications in the two most prestigious journals in IS, ISR and MSQ for 2015 to 2019. And we have 6 faculty members who are currently serving on the editorial board of the 3 top journals in IS, including ISR, MSQ, and GMIS. So each year we admit about 2 to 5 students, and most of our graduates from the tenure track faculty position after graduation. In the past, we have placed our students in various universities in North America, Asia, Australia, and Europe. So our most recent graduate joined the Hong Kong Poly University, I think in spring. So IS is a very interdisciplinary field. So we use various methodologies and theoretical lenses to study the impact of IT on individuals, businesses, and society. So generally, we can actually put our research into 3 tracks: the econ of IS track, behavioral IS track, and technical IS track. So I will introduce each of these 3 tracks one by one. So the first one, econ IS. So in this track, we mainly apply methodologies, I think, adopted from the economics field, including econometrics, analytical models, field and natural experiments. So the topics that our faculty members in our group study, I think, include, for example, crowdfunding, health IT, online labor markets, online communities, financial markets, cybersecurity, etc. So here are the faculty members who are in the econ of IS track. So if you're interested, you can check their profiles online. So the second track here is a behavioral IS. I think this is more, I think, closer to social science and psychology and management. So the main methodologies used include survey, interview, lab field experiment, case study, etc. So the topics that our faculty members study include IS adoption use, knowledge management, HCI, cybersecurity, etc. So here are the faculty members who are doing research in the behavioral IS. So lastly, technical IS. So in this track, there are 2 types of research. The first one is to study IS and business topics using computational methods as a tool. So for example, we can apply deep learning, topic modeling, natural language processing techniques to extract some features from text, image, video, audio, and then study the effects of these interested variables. And in the second type of the technical IS research, I think it's similar to the computer science and statistics, where the focus is on the design of state-of-art algorithms and demonstrate the superior performance using real-world data. But here, I think the focus is more on the business, to address business-related problems. So here are the faculty members who are in the technical IS track. So who can apply? I think the answer is everyone. So as said just now, IS is very interdisciplinary, and we adopt methods from various fields. So we welcome students from all different majors. So in the past, we have admitted students from different majors like information systems, economics, business, computer science, mathematics, social science, psychology, etc. So yeah, I think that's it. If you have any questions, I am happy to address the questions in the chat or later on in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jingwang. Up next, we have Professor Man Yu from Department of ISO and Operations Management.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Man Yu, and I'm the PhD coordinator in operations management. I'm happy to be here today, tonight, and give you some brief overview and introduction of our program and also of our department. Just the same as all the other programs, and the detailed information for the OM department can be found on our website. Here I just want to highlight some important key informations that you may find useful for your application. Yeah. Okay, so in general, the OM PhD program at HKUST is a premier program for innovative research. Our faculty has been consistently ranked top 20 in operations management research worldwide. There are three main research areas in our OM department. First, supply chain management, which examines a wide range of important issues in supply chains, such as inventory management, information, collaboration, and coordination. Second, pricing and revenue management, which lies in the interface of marketing and supply chain management and studies important business decisions related to pricing, capacity, consumer behavior, social learning, and etc. Last but not the least, business analytics, which applies state-of-art analytical techniques to explore operational data and gain insights into real OM problems. Here at the OM department, we're proud to have a world-class faculty. Specifically, there are 6 full professors. All of them are recognized worldwide as leaders of their respective research fields. Because of this, all of them have been invited to serve on the editorial boards of various top journals in the field. For example, management science, operations research, and the manufacturing and the service operations management. Among them, Professor Shao Huizhen is the leader of our OM group and also head of the ISOM department. He is an expert in dynamic inventory control and has been serving as an associate editor for operations management for about 15 years. Professor Eberhard is a distinguished chair professor and a leading researcher in supply chain management. He has been serving on the editorial boards for MS, OR, and MSOM for 20 years. So in addition, we have 2 associate professors and 4 assistant professors. All of us hold PhD degrees from top business schools in North America or Asia and are active and productive researchers in our respective research areas. Okay, so here at the OM PhD program, all of our students receive solid training in various quantitative research methodologies and techniques, ranging from basic statistical modeling to advanced stochastic analysis. In addition, they spend 3 to 4 years conducting independent research guided by our faculty. These courses and the research experience prepare them well for a successful career in academia. By the time of graduation, most of them have papers either accepted or in the pipeline for publication on top journals. Thus, our students have been doing quite well on job markets. For a few examples, our graduates have been serving on the faculty of the Chinese University of Hong Kong in Shenzhen, Huazhong University of Science and Technology, Xi'an Jiaotong University, Wisconsin School of Business at University of Wisconsin-Madison, Renmin University of China, and Fudan University. All right, so then who can apply? In fact, there's not really much restriction in terms of your major. No matter what you are interested, no matter whether you are a student in business, engineering, or science, as long as you are interested in operations management and have a strong quantitative background, we welcome your application. If you have any question during your application, feel free to drop me a line anytime, right? Looking forward to reading your application and to welcoming you to our department. Right, that is all from me today. I'm happy to take questions in the Q&A box. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Man Yu. Next, we have from the Department of ISO and Business Statistics, Xinghua Zheng, Professor Xinghua Zheng.
Good evening. Let me see. So can you see my, okay, not good, right? Okay, good, okay. So good evening, everyone. So I'm Professor Xinghua Zheng from Business Statistics. So statistics is not a so common area in B school. Only some of the best B schools in the world have statistics as an area, and that include the Chicago Bulls and Open Wharton, and HKUST is another such example. Right. So what I'm going to do tonight is try to attract you to consider applying statistics to do your PhD. Okay, so why pursue a PhD in statistics? And a short answer is that we are in the age of big data, and nowadays really there are countless exciting topics to pursue in statistics, right? And for example, we all know the big tech companies, they talk about big data every day, and they are hiring a lot of statistical PhDs. Also, finance is another, probably even more data intense industry. So basically, there's a lot of data, and basically to do well in finance requires you to be really quantitatively strong in data handling, right? And also another major area of application is biology. Well, we are still in COVID-19. And everyone just hope that COVID-19 to be over as soon as possible. And to do that, we need effective medicine, we need effective vaccine, and all these development need a lot of statistics. All right. So what do we do? What our group do? So the major research area, broadly speaking, at least here, the first one is machine learning or statistical learning with applications to financial and business data. And almost all our faculties research fall in this area, but with different emphasis, right? So some faculties work more on financial data, and that include high frequency or high dimensional data, and some with applications to portfolio management, right? And some other applications include personalization. So some of you may heard about the personalization, medical personalization, but there's also financial personalization, right? And some other fields you may not be familiar with, says at least here, but when you later on you may find some to be very useful, right? And about our graduate placement, so we have quite a small program. So each year we admit about 2 students, but our student got excellent placement. So in the recent years, some of our students went to, most of them went to academia, and that include University of Macau, Hong Kong Poly Yale, Trinity of Hong Kong, Xiamen University, Shanghai University of Finance and Economics, and so on and so on and so forth. And a few went to industry, and mainly in finance, and some of them, say work as a data scientist or work as a manager. Okay, so I guess that's it. I'm happy to answer your questions in the Q&A board. All right. So thank you.
Thank you, Professor Xinghua Zheng. Next up from the Department of Marketing, we have Professor Amy Dalton.
Okay. Slides okay? Sorry, I don't know what I did wrong. Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Professor Amy Dalton, and I'm the RPG coordinator for the marketing department. So I will tell you briefly about who we are, and then I'll give you a brief overview of what the structure of the program will be like. And some of this will seem quite repetitious from the previous professors' presentations. So within the marketing department, we have 16 research faculty, a very diverse group of people. Half of the faculty in our department hold editorial roles in what are considered top journals in the field of marketing. So these include consumer research journals, as well as modeling journals, which I'll get into the distinction in a minute. And we also have other faculty who are serving on ERBs within these journals. And we have other journals that I'm not listing here. So very research active community and people publishing in journals in our field. In addition to our 16 faculty, we also currently have 13 MPhil or PhD students, also a very diverse group of people, not just in terms of their nationalities, but also in terms of their backgrounds. So just circling back to what Ralph mentioned earlier, we're just interested in getting the best and the brightest. And so it doesn't really matter what your background is. If you're interested in doing a PhD in marketing, you're welcome to apply. Okay, so what kind of research do we do? So in marketing, there's basically 3 types of research: consumer behavior research, quantitative modeling, and strategy. And in our department, we focus on the former 2. So in consumer behavior research, this is really about understanding the psychology of why we buy. And this can be information processing, so studying people's social groups or emotions, or it can be basic judgment and decision making. And we have faculty who study both of these branches of consumer psychology. And the way we do this primarily is laboratory research, field experiments. We typically don't have a very survey heavy research approach in our department. So really it's about experimental design and testing your theories through experiments.
Professor Amy,
yes.
Your slides aren't changing, so you may want to just reshare the screens.
My slide is not changing. What slide is it on?
It's on slide 2.
Oh, I'm supposed to be on slide 2.
Oh, okay. Because since you started sharing, it was just on slide 2 itself.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait a second. So right now, oh wait, it's on the faculty and students slide?
Yep.
Or it's not on the research focus slide?
No.
Oh, hold on. Thank you for interrupting me. Let's see what I did wrong. Sorry, folks. Now, how is it?
Yep, all good now. Now we can see the...
It's on the research focus slide.
Yep.
Yes, sorry guys. That was a lot to keep in your mind. So yes, so we do consumer behavior research and we do quantitative modeling research, and I've mentioned the CB side of things. So on the quant side of things, we have faculty, again, there's a couple of branches in quant research. We have people who do analytical modeling. So this is modeling competitive strategies based on economic theory. And we also have faculty working on empirical modeling, and that's probably the bulk of research being done, where you get existing data sets. And so you model the behavior of firms or the behavior of consumers based on these data sets or through field experiments. Additionally, for the collection of these data, we have a state-of-the-art behavioral lab. And so by state of the art, we have lots of interesting tools like eye tracking equipment and emotion recognition software for people who are interested in studying consumer psychology. For people who are looking for data sets, we have a Center for Marketing and Supply Chain Management. And we also try to expose our students to other research resources, which can be networking opportunities or exposure to other people's research, top researchers in the field. We do that through seminar series, We encourage and fund conference attendance, and we also offer study abroad options to students pre-pandemic. Hopefully that'll get back into full swing again. Okay, now what the program looks like, again, this is similar to the other departments. So you'll basically do coursework for the first and second year. Now, I want to make a point about how the admissions works for the marketing department. For those of you who are interested in applying to the marketing department, there were some questions on the chat, as well as I get questions via email. We admit students at the department level. So when you get admitted into our department as a PhD student, I, as the PG coordinator, will pair you with a faculty person who I believe will be a good mentor for you. That pairing will last your first semester. In your second semester, you get rotated to somebody else, and then third semester and fourth semester. So there's no need for you to reach out to particular faculty prior to submitting an application, although you're welcome to do so if you choose, because you're not actually getting admitted to work with a given individual. You're getting admitted to work within the department, and then we try to expose you to different faculty who have different approaches and different research interests so that you can get an opportunity to work on many different projects before finally deciding at the end of your second year, what would you like to do to pursue your PhD, okay? Okay, I hope that's clear. So we have this rotation system. You'll be required to do a paper at the end of your first year, as well as at the end of your second year, and that second year paper serves as an MPhil paper. And you'll also do a PhD qualifying exam in order to become a formal PhD candidate. Graduate placement history dating back from 2003. So, you know, Singapore, Hong Kong, the US, the Netherlands, Australia, India, the UK. We have all sorts of countries represented here. And to reiterate, Ralph, we're very proud of our students and their placements. And that's it. Okay, so if anybody wants more information about our particular program, you can find that online. And if you have particular questions, you can direct them to mphd@ust.hk. Also, again, because I'm the coordinator for the marketing PhD program, those of you who are interested in applying to marketing, you can feel free to send me an email directly, and I'll happily try to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, Professor Amy. And lastly, we have from the Department of Management, Professor Yanfeng Jing.
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you see the slides? Oops. Maybe I can go to the first one. Does that work? Okay, fantastic. Hello, everyone. Good to have all of you online. You can see my name is Yanfeng Zheng. Usually, I always was assigned to the last position. You know, I used to have a colleague called Zhou Zheng. Okay, so his initial will be ZZ. So I want to work with him. He never want to do that because the order of author will change. Anyhow, so joke aside, I just took this position as a PhD program coordinator for Department of Management starting from this July. So bear with me. In fact, I just realized my slides overlap maybe 99% with many of other colleagues. So I don't know whether I can provide any new information, especially from an administrative perspective. For instance, I'll go through those information quickly. The structure of our program looks like very much other programs. So we have this 2+3 year program or 4-year direct PhD program. We can share the slides later on, but I weekly remember other department already show you something similar. In terms of deadline, also we follow pretty much the same as other departments. So I checked with the previous slides, the deadline for us should be next January 15th. So that should be the important day you keep in your mind. Otherwise, it's our job. We will review, we'll make decision. We have, I think, also, I can't remember. I think this pretty much mentioned twice. But anyhow, my interpretation of this program, this Hong Kong PhD fellowship versus this. Postgraduate studentship is very simple. This one pay you more, this one pay you less. So you can imagine this one expect you to be, more competitive. This one is more like a regular PhD track. Admission, I saw one student or one candidate asking us the numbers. So here I can provide you department management, the past 1, 2, 3, 4 years numbers. Like I said, I just took the position last month. We couldn't update last year's. So just give you a rough picture, how many applicants each year apply to our department. We usually give 5 offers, but turns out usually only 2 or 4 accept the offer. We also have the qualifying examination after 2-year study, like many other departments. So we here I can probably elaborate a little bit, how we differ from other departments. Content-wise, we differ from other departments. We study topics like, by the way, for the past hour, just keep thinking what we do differently, because we have some overlap, but they spoke first. They already take the position. So what else we can do? Some unique topics that we management scholars do. For instance, we have a colleague, very junior Korean colleagues doing status of firms. How does status affect their decisions in terms of recruiting, in terms of a merger acquisition? We also have also a very productive junior colleagues doing social network. So how the position of a firm in the inter-firm network also affect their decisions. My only interest is innovation and entrepreneurship. So innovation somehow overlap with IS scholar, econ scholar. So if you just look at my publication, you might think I'm an econ scholar, because we do share similar research interests, although we might follow different theories to derive our prediction. In terms of methodology, we share with behavioral, I saw the behavioral IS, behavioral marketing, or some empirical econ. For instance, econometrics is a must. Field experiment, natural experiment, survey, all are common methodology that management scholars adopt. What else we have? So we also have this regular track. We have 2+3. First 2 years, you take some courses and then take the QE and then proceed to the thesis stage. And then you defend your proposal, graduate, get a job. That's the ideal process. We have fantastic colleagues. I think I saw from the Q&A dialogue, another, I think, quite visible difference is we management scholars like to get in touch with you early on, because our topics, in my personal view, this is totally my personal view, doesn't approved by the department yet, is we management scholars may care more about you as a person, since our topics usually very broad, diverse. So we want to communicate with you more to understand whether you are a good fit for the program. Some other programs may have a quite established paradigm in terms of what topics, what skills they expect from you. So probably they don't expect you to bother them too much, but we do. We do want to know you early on, so we can gradually understand what exactly you are thinking. Also, for you to better understand what exactly we're doing. So the PhD mentoring process, in general, will be very similar to other programs. But one subtle difference is perhaps we communicate more with our students, even prior to your application. Placements, very similar to other departments. I just realized I should put some logos, fancy pictures to attract you. But anyhow, I think you have, seen them. In general, the pool will be very similar. I don't think statistically they are quite different. But year after year, may some variation. I just want to cut it short to save time for Q&A. regardless, we welcome you to apply us, either department management or Hong Kong USC Business School. Thank you. I exit.
Yep. Thank you, Professor Zheng. So now we will move on to the Q&A session. I see that there are some questions already flagged in the Q&A tab that we would like to address live. So let's go ahead with that. I think we have one question for the Department of Finance, and the questions asking regarding the number of vacancies in the department per year. So Professor Abreu.
So typically we've admitted about 3 to 6 people, and the number is not hard and fast. It just depends on how many good candidates we can find. But I wanted to take this question live to point out that this year the department is thinking about starting a pre-PhD program. So through this program, we would be trying to admit a few candidates. Let's say if you have a background in science and engineering, and you think about doing a PhD in business, but you're not sure of yourself, you can come in and spend a couple of years doing research assistantships and sit in on seminars and maybe a few PhD classes to make sure that you're the right fit. And then what you get out of the program is, if you do well, then you can get recommendation letters from our faculty, which can hold you in good state in PhD programs, maybe ours, maybe elsewhere in the world. But that's sort of the expectation. More details will come closer to the time when the department has more to tell you about. Thank you.
Thank you. There was another question addressed for the Department of Management. There's an econ TPG student wondering how to apply to the PhD program in management.
Yeah, we definitely welcome the applicants from all different majors. Like I said, earlier, we recommend you to contact our faculty members. If you are here, fantastic. You are welcome to knock the door, make an appointment, and then talk to our faculty members directly, sharing with us your research interest. And then the faculty member, I guarantee, will give you feedback, whether they believe you are a good fit or not. So that's my quick answer. You are welcome to apply, and you are more than welcome to contact us even before you formally click the submit button.
Thank you, Professor. To the panelists, is there any other question that you would want to address live?
I think it might be useful to go over the research proposal. I can only speak on behalf of the marketing department, but I did receive a lot of questions about it by email, as well as some questions in the chat. So for yes, a research proposal is required. The others can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's required for every department, regardless of which department you're applying into. And your research proposal, no, it should not be general. Yes, it needs a bibliography. You really need to read a bunch of journal articles, get a sense of the structure of the journal articles, the ones that are representative of the type of research that you're hoping to conduct. And you really want to use that as a model for the way that you write your research proposal. Meaning, you need to have a research question, and you need to motivate why that research question is important. You need to ground it in prior literature. So-and-so has shown X, so-and-so has shown Y. There's a gap in the literature. I plan to address that gap in the literature. It's an important gap because blah, blah, blah. Okay, you really need to lean on existing literature to formulate your research question and give legitimacy to the proposal. So a bibliography is not only essential, but you need to be referencing throughout to make it clear which ideas you're taking from prior literature, which ideas are your novel ideas that are part of your particular research proposal. And then on the methodological end of things, again, other departments might have different approaches to this, but we do expect you to have an understanding of the kind of methodology that you would use to tackle this question. Now, if you knew exactly how to do it, then what would we possibly be teaching you as a student? So of course, it can be a little rudimentary. But if you're in marketing, let's say, and you're applying into consumer behavior, then yeah, we have an expectation that you're going to propose a couple of basic experimental designs, if that's what addresses the research question. So this is for us, this in marketing, this is an extremely important aspect of the proposal, and I assume for the other faculty as well. We look at how you write your research proposal to get a sense of, does this person know what they're signing up for by applying into PhD programs? And we get that sense based on whether your research proposal really does emulate what you would find in the flow of a journal article published in a top journal. Okay, I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that.
Just in addition to that, I think there was a question relating to the research proposal, whether the research topic should be specific, targeted specific to a faculty member, or should they just go with topics that would interest them, and then like what should be the focus in that sense?
That's a great question. I missed that one. So again, one thing I was very clear about is in our department, we have people who do consumer behavior and we have people who do modeling, and we don't have people who do strategy. So if somebody were to submit an application that showed that that person was interested in doing strategy research, they likely would be a poor fit because we wouldn't know who would advise that student. So you don't have to have the level of specificity of flagging individual faculty with the idea overlapping with their particular research agenda, but there does have to be a general match between the research interests and methodological approaches of the faculty and what the student is proposing.
Yeah, I will also want to follow up on this point that in the end, we are looking for students who like to do research, who can do research. And so even though there's no specific requirement that you have to write a good research proposal, but of course, if you write a good research proposal, it really helps. So there's no specific guideline to say that you have to write certain things in there, but if you write better, of course, that's only going to help your chance.
Great, thanks for that. I think there are still some questions in the Q&A tab, but I think they're specific to particular professors and more technical, that they could just be addressed straight away in the chat function itself. But I see most of them have been covered already. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I think another point that might be worth revisiting is there was a bunch of questions about this. What is the actual application deadline? Is there a rolling deadline? When do applicants, when are applications actually reviewed? So again, I can't speak on behalf of the other faculty, but as many of you are aware, we have an HKPFS fellowship scheme, and the deadline for that HKPFS application is, I believe, early December. Check this online, somewhere at the beginning of December. Now, we look at applicants who apply to the HKPFS, and oftentimes these are very strong applicants, and if they don't get HKPFS, we still will strongly consider them in the general admission pool. The deadline for the general admission pool isn't until the end of January, I believe. Again, fact check this. And so if we don't actually, keep this rolling basis thing going, but the earlier you get your application in, if your application is reviewed in that first round of HKPFS, meaning if you apply for HKPFS, we will have our eyeballs on your application much sooner than if you apply through the regular admission scheme. So of course, that can give some people a bit of an advantage. Having us see the application sooner. So I strongly encourage, regardless of what program you're interested in applying to apply through HKPFS.
Okay, so I have I see a question in the Q&A for the admission requirements for the IS program. I think in general, the criteria is similar across different groups and departments. So I think for IS, we are looking for students who are highly motivated and who have a good GPA, good institution, and maybe good GMAT, GRE results. And I think the most important thing is your research. I think the motivation, and also maybe if you have some relevant research experience, that also helps. I think in general, we want students who have very solid background and who have very strong motivation for the research. And we have, I think, the first thing after we receive your application, we'll do some kind of screening based on your GPA, your institution, and also the GMAT, referee letters, etc., research experience. And then after that, we'll have either Zoom or I think face-to-face interviews. And then if you can pass the interviews, then we can probably make an offer to you. Yeah.
Right. I think that broadly covers all the questions that have been asked in the Q&A tab. So with that, we can conclude the session. So thanks for the audience for coming in, for being interested in the PhD program at the HKUST Business School, and thank you all to the professors for coming in and enlightening us about the program and the details of what it's like to be a PhD student in the department. Thank you so much, and hope you all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.